I'm Tom Aguero with Brew Minds. Jesse is back with us this week, but he's hiding behind the camera as he regrows his beard.
It's not a great
wearing
sight.
Glasses this time. Those contacts are hideous. We are here with some of the OG beer bloggers. We're here at the Lucky Turtle, Frank Setta's bar, and we're here with Mike Stone and Mike Stewart, the Brew Professor, Danny Spears, BeerMumbo, and Chris Stevens, Queen City Fresh down there on the end. And we're going to hang out for a little bit, have some beers, and talk about all kinds of different stuff that we've seen in the beer industry over the past 5 or 6 years that we've been wasting our time and our evenings drinking too much. Do you guys want to take a moment to introduce yourselves on your blogs and what you're up to now?
Sure, I'll fire it up. Mike Stewart, formerly BrewProf.com, until some Indonesian hackers took down my site and I just gave it up and threw in the towel. But that legitimately happened. But now I work in the industry for Mantry, Director of People and Social Strategies, so I get to talk about Mantry all the time, so not a bad gig.
Danny Spears, formerly BeerMumbo. The same Indonesian hackers took my site down. And I have other projects. It was maybe ISIS, I'm not really sure, but I had other projects going on too, and just like Mike, I decided to pull the plug and let some of the newer bloggers who may have a little bit more passion to do this take over, and they're doing a good job.
And what projects are you doing, the Listerman fermentation?
Yeah, so I have a corporate day job, and I also I work at Listerman a couple of days a week, maybe 1 day a week, doing the wine ciders, and just having fun.
I'm Chris Stevens, Queen City Fresh. I'm just hanging on by a thread. Do a couple of label things here and now, so I enjoy looking at the label artwork and seeing what's new. But you know, 3 daughters and 1 that's senior, really don't have much time to commit to blogging full time. It was fun, and I still enjoy it, but certainly don't have the time like I used to a few years ago.
Frank Sita, owner of the Lucky Turtle. I just talk a lot and drink. That's what I do. I've never been to Indonesia, so I don't think I was involved in this, but
Good to know.
yeah. So.
Well, great. Well, that's a good kind of segue into talking our first big question. With some of you guys kind of getting out of the scene. Our first question of the night is: how has the craft beer industry, and specifically like the local craft beer industry, changed since you started your blog or started your business?
Well, they got desperate and hired some bums.
Hey, even me at my short but oh so sweet stint at Moorline.
Of course, it hasn't gotten that bad. Nobody's hired me yet. So.
Nobody's desperate yet.
Not desperate. Anyways.
I mean, obviously the number of breweries. I don't know how, you probably have a count now, Tom, of what it is, but
43.
you know, it's probably half of that, maybe less when we first
I think
started
it was
out.
like
Way less than that.
Mantry, five years ago, Mantry wasn't in existence, 50 wasn't in existence, Right Guys wasn't in existence. So, I mean, right there, that's changed it enough. The influx of product just on the market. Local influx of product.
I want to say that when I started, there were 10 or 11 breweries.
Yeah.
And now, depending on how you want to count, I think we're at 43.
Yep.
Which is just insane. I mean, I never would have predicted that 5 years ago.
No, not at all. I mean,
I think what we've seen is the market's maturing for craft beer. Cincinnati's finally catching up where the rest of the country's been for probably a little while. So way more competition, way more breweries outside the region. I'm seeing Ohio as a strong market. They brought their product here, which just means a whole lot more competition. But it's just part of the maturation process, I think. So.
And it's not just breweries. I mean, we've got bars and bottle shops as well. Because I mean, 5 years ago, it was like Party Source and Dutchess, and you know, Brass Tap wasn't around. The Lucky Turtle certainly wasn't around. You know, there were like 3 places to get growler fills, and now you can now there's like 3 gas stations. There are more than 3 gas stations that do growler fills now.
well, sure, I can get gas and have a pint of beer at the growler stop, which is cool.
Right.
It's you know, I
Fill up.
yeah, exactly. You know, I think the expectations are at this point too. I think that when we all started doing everything, there weren't really any expectations. Everybody was just excited that the new brewery was out, and there was this distribution of a new product, and it was amazing, and everybody jumped on that. But at this point, there's a pretty heavy saturation, and locally and the expectation's here. It's not here anymore. So, you know, it's a different ballgame for everybody.
I mean, something I like to think about is mind share. Like 5 years ago, it was so easy to keep track of what Matcher came out with and what Ryan Guys came out with and Blend Site's new beer. Now I don't even know what new breweries are opening up, let alone what 16 lots just tapped or what Paradise is releasing. I'm like,
But
it's too many to keep track of.
It doesn't matter. That's why I think on some point it depends on the model that these places are going for. In some context, it doesn't matter what they're tapping. I mean, unless you're in the area, maybe, or unless it's something that they've been making that you're really looking for, a particular style or something, whatever. Unless it's that, then they're hopefully probably just making beer for their local people there that they're doing. They're not worried about big D distribution and not trying to do all these crazy things for them crazy, not for Matry, not crazy. If they're focused on that, then I mean, honestly, there's probably a lot of solid beer out there. But
I mean, even Matry went from 12 taps to 18 to 30.
32 inside and 32 outside.
It looks insane, right?
I like the fact that now you have these smaller breweries that didn't exist back then. It was like Ryan Guys is going to be huge. You knew that. I mean,
Nine Giant now.
Nine Giants, one of my favorite. They don't think this should be anywhere outside Pleasant Ridge, maybe. So those kind of cool. See Fibonacci, those local breweries. Now I got one in Blue Ash right around from my house. So every little neighborhood.
You got Blue Ash.
You got three.
I have a kind of a quick follow-up question for that. Since you guys all started, what is the trend that has most surprised you with both the local industry and the national industry?
I'll start with that one. No, and I think this is a reflective of both local and national. The beers, when I started, that I was seeking out, that I was excited to go buy, they're shelf turds now. And by shelf turds, I'm meaning like a beer that a beer that like 4 years ago, when it came out, there were people lining up to buy these beers, and now I'll go to a bottle shop, I'll go places, and I'll find it and literally blow dust off of this. Whether it's a national brewery, a regional brewery, or even local breweries, you'll see just beer sitting, and I think that's just a reflection of the crazy competition that's happening right now.
My favorite story for that is that at one of the Beer and Sweats, during the dinner period, my friend brought out a howler of Dark App. And like the entire crowd outside of Beer and Sweat swarmed to get like an ounce of Dark App. And now it's just sitting 15 feet away from us and no one cares. It's maybe sitting 30 feet away from us because it's not in Lucky Turtle, maybe it's at Brentwood. It's not good enough for the Lucky Turtle anymore, right? But it's still an amazing beer. Well, I mean, the thing that I think surprises me is the explosion of breweries, the explosion of tap handles, but the general market share is still 12.3% of all beer sales. So it's not like the sales have necessarily grown in compensation with the explosion of breweries and barrelage per year. Which will be interesting in the next year.
Yeah. I think what's surprised me lately is just the craziness around the AZ craze. I'm not necessarily a fan myself.
Or the fruited stuff. I mean,
I was gonna say that.
Juice and anything.
But that
pink lemonade, right?
The fruit thing though, that trend, you could have seen that coming from like as far away as possible.
I mean, look at Lambert's, right?
Well, no, I'm talking about look at. Sorry, we'll get into my other business, the other alcohol business. If you go up to Brentwood and any other liquor store,
whipped cream,
and then look at the wall of bottles, which will take up at least this wall here. You can fill this wall up with all the flavored anything. That's just the vodka that's getting to the whiskey, such and so forth. So on the liquor side, that just invaded it. Yeah. So I can tell you for sure there is absolutely no reason to think that our beers are not going to go the exact same direction in which they have. I can't get away from adjunct flavors. Are you kidding me? It's like half the tap list is typically something. And we're all sitting here and we've all made them or drank them and literally made them because we did the lift stuff. Dreamsicle was born out of Fresh Fest.
Exactly.
Who remembers that?
The coffee pulse that you guys did 2 years ago was freaking dynamite. So
I wish Matt True did that again.
I keep calling it and demanding it.
Hold my beer, watch this. Never again.
The one thing that didn't catch on, Jesse, that I really thought was when Ballast Point had a success with Sculpin and they had all these different variations of Sculpin. I thought for sure we'd see multiple versions of Truth and Psychopathy. lines of those. And
Well,
never happened.
orange psychopathy.
Well, that was, I guess, the first one was that one. But I thought there'd be 2 or 3 or 4 by now by each brand.
Fruited IPAs. I just got to get on that one. There's a couple here and there.
Yeah.
But that was just
you can
retarded.
fruit the
But
haze.
yeah,
I mean, if you fruit the haze, then it gets.
it's okay. I mean, they're okay. They get fruity notes in there. It's just there's a balance in there, and some just really work, and some don't.
Like
Some brewers do it better than others.
How many NIPAs does Listerman add fruit juice to? I mean, not to pick on Listerman, but a lot of NIPA breweries have
Watch
done
it.
stuff where they start adding fruit juice.
Well, no, I mean however they're getting there. Well, yes, okay. So before dissecting the beers, but yes, however they're getting to their flavor.
I won't say fruit
you
juice,
know.
adding fruit to.
And I'm saying that's IPAs. Now I'm not saying that some other fruited beers. I mean, for craft's sake, I'll drink the snot out of some urban beers that are being out there. I mean, they're
Delicious, but
yeah.
You mean Midwest fruit tarts?
Midwest fruit tarts, which I did. I'm not going to get started on that one. Well, you can talk about that one. I do. There you go. I like that one.
yeah, there's your topic.
I do have one thing that's really kind of surprised me in just covering this for 5 or 6 years now. I'm really surprised by the influx of breweries. Like we grew, Cincinnati's grown so quickly, and I don't have the data on this. I would love, if I can find a way to get a hold of it, I'd love to see it. I would bet we're among the fastest growing beer cities in the nation, and I'm curious if you guys have any ideas as to what is spawning that. Like, does Cincinnati just have a lot of people with a lot of capital sitting around, or is it that deep of a beer market, or what do you think is driving this?
I think it's capital. I think there's more new breweries now that are being started as a business, which is fine because that's ultimately what it is. That's what it should be. But I think there might be more people motivated by money versus actually making the product and having a true passion for craft beer.
That is definitely
So, I mean, this is what we saw in the early 90s, right? During the first wave of craft beer, and it came crashing down because there were too top heavy on people looking for capital returns and didn't really understand the business and didn't care about quality or any of those other things and didn't understand what they were getting into. I think there's probably more sophisticated investors at this point, but ultimately time's only going to tell who's going to make the cut long term, who's in it just for financial gain to either try and sell out or make a quick buck or just kind of keep afloat and kind of do their own thing. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I see a lot of breweries now opening up that, for me, I know that it's 100% based off of capital interest and an ideation to exploit an industry that's growing. And I can see that based upon, one, their demographic selection, their geographic location of the brewery, basically the brewery design, and not only that, just this hand-picking people from the industry to try and create and sustain an operational brewery that's going to profit. And you can read, I can read that, and experiencing this industry growth, I can see that as it's developing, and it bothers me. It really does. I look at someone like Dan Listerman, Brady, and Kenny from Matry. They got into it because they really cared, and Scott Linkslade. These are people that got into it because they really had a passion about the product that they were putting out, and they were never seeking out being millionaires or making tons of money. They just wanted to do good beer and brew good beer, and that was it. And I don't see that in a lot of places opening now. It bothers me. It's part of the reason I don't write about it anymore. I don't care.
Well, speaking of brewing good beer and the guys who did it, we did get a shout out here from Kevin Moreland. He says, quote, a lot of cool people in this room. Hashtag CincyBrow. Jeff Strong says, tell Frank to turn down the volume on the shirt.
no, you gotta turn that up.
I love you, Jeff. I know what you're feeling.
Hold on, what did Kevin say?
Kevin said a lot of cool people in this blast. I'm assuming he wasn't talking about Tom, so. Well, we'll get back to there. I'm curious, Chris, what do you think of all that? Like, are people getting into it for the right reasons? Or I know you make it to almost all the breweries out there, so what are you seeing when you go out? And I have a follow-up for Frank, too.
Well, I mean, I haven't been recently to many breweries. I missed a lot of the recent, probably the last 4 or 5 breweries, other than maybe Fretford next door. But I think the biggest thing we're forgetting is the taproom law changes. I think people come out for an experience. And it brings a lot of people that maybe didn't really care about craft beer, but they want to be involved in that experience at the taproom. So I think that fueled a lot of the growth, several years ago, obviously now. But if that wouldn't happen, I'm sure there are other states that don't have those laws like we do, and that's why they're lagging behind.
Well, I mean, Georgia just changed their laws September 1st. So before that, you could get six ounce samplers, and that was it. You were cut off for the day. But now you can walk into a brewery in Georgia and buy as many pints as you want, and they've definitely seen a big growth in sales, and they've expanded their cap from hours, and I'm very excited to go back.
Georgia?
Yeah.
I guess, so my follow-up for Frank would be, since you've kind of opened the turtle, we've talked a little bit in the past about breweries coming to see you, how to sell to you, like, and with these guys coming in, some of them with not the best practices or intentions, like, are you seeing a change in how beer is sold, or what are some things that people could do better?
Yeah, for sure. So a couple of things I've seen change recently, and we were talking about, I guess, I don't know if you want to say the growth in the market or a change in the market, is that there's several national brands that have got local reps now that have happened recently. Founders happened not too long ago. Somebody from the Cavaliers had several Brewdog that got a local now, which I know they're in Columbus, but still the idea. Jackie O's, Dogfish. So we've had two of the local brands go with that were self-distributing, go with a distributor. So, you know, they all know if they want to talk to me, that they know where to find me. And if they want their beers on tap, they know where to find me. I don't want the sales guys hustle for the distributors, but when you're local, like, you know, you got to put that effort in my estimation. That's the way I do my thing. It's not against anybody, but there has to be some kind of flow in there. So, you know, that's as far as the beer, you know, the beer side goes. Past that, there's so many different beers out there. I mean, it's ad nauseum of stuff. I mean, and even on the local side, you know, there's just a ton more stuff. But you know, I don't know. You go with it, and everybody's kind of got their different thing. I don't do strictly local. I usually run maybe a third to 2/3, somewhere in there, half maybe some local.
Well, that is a. Before we go on to the next topic, we have one question from the crowd. Our friend Jason Author asks, and he says, "Hi from Mississippi. Do you think the best format for new breweries opening in the city is the neighborhood model, a la Brink, Municipal, etc. have going, or is another model going to be the thing that would sustain your business?"
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I don't think we have another Matcher or Geist in us in Cincinnati. I think you got to be the small local brewery for your town or city that gets people to drive to you instead of driving 30 minutes away to Mount Carmel or something.
I agree.
And the food option is going to be if not already built into it when they're getting open, it's going to be already trend.
Look,
it's already there. I mean,
if there's any new brewers out there and think about adding food, please don't fucking add pizza. Catch a fire, but Catch a Fire, Queen City, March 1st, they all have pizza. I'm like, come on, guys, can we get some tacos?
It goes on and on. It's
Shrimp poppers.
Right, tacos maybe.
Come on, how about a seafood bar?
Yeah, seafood bar, right? Sushi. There's all kinds of food besides pizza.
A vegan bar.
Right, hey, there you go.
Guys like
That's special Danish heart. That's special Danish heart.
No, I think that the neighborhood is awesome. I look at Brink, which I proudly wear a Brink hat. I mean, they took a gamble in College Hill. I mean, this is an area, and I was familiar with College Hill growing up. College Hill had a lot of blight and a lot of businesses, empty storefronts, empty commercial properties, and Brink. I mean, these guys, they took a chance, and I'm sure people said no, it's a stupid idea. But guess what? They're doing good. They got a Japanese restaurant opening up there. They got a Tortilla Garcia's opening up there in College Hill soon, and they're really doing a good job. So that little local community feel, that's customer loyalty who's going to keep returning, because they're not going to. That size, they're never going to compete against Matcher. They're never going to compete against Rheingeist, Moorline. It's just not going to happen. So why do that when you can have a steady customer loyalty in your community? You know, that's also contingent upon the ownership and the management operating a respectful brewery by not like firing head brewers.
Hashtag shots fired.
You know, so no, it really is. It's keeping that good. Sorry.
By paying people.
Sorry, not sorry. But it's about keeping that respect, man. And when you're the small scale community, you have to do it. You really do it. Listerman, they do the same thing. You go to Listerman, there's a good chance you're going to sit at the bar top and chat with Dan Lishman while enjoying a beer, and that's awesome. Fibonacci, same way. It's the same thing, man.
They really have become anchors for the development around there. Look what Brink did, what they're bringing in now. Same thing in Pleasant Ridge and Nine Giant.
Nine Giant, same way. Nine Giant, same way.
Braxton and Covington when they started up. And obviously Mastery kind of really being the Oakley Hyde Park area being just a staple now for everybody, that whole community. So
Pleasant Ridge is
nice seeing that. We're able to pull that in.
And even Mastery, even though the massive growth of Mastery, I can still go to Mastery and I'll see Kenny Brady, I will see workers, employees who have worked all day and they're still there because they want to be there. It's different than
really work, or do they?
They absolutely work.
but they want to be there and they want to be engaging with the customers because they enjoy their job, they enjoy the company they work for, and that matters. So for me, it makes me want to go deal with the crowds at 2.0, which that exists, but I don't mind it because I had that loyalty to the brand and the people that own it.
I think that's a good point to take a brief break for station identification. If you're just joining us, we are Brew Minds, and we're here with the OG beer bloggers from the Cincinnati beer scene, and we're talking about how things have changed and what's to come, and that brings up our next kind of industry topic. And the question is craft beer going mainstream? And what we mean by that is the influx of big money and more macro brewers kind of getting into the craft beer world, as you would call it. Is that changing? How is that changing the industry? Are we seeing kind of a generification of the product, or how do you guys think that's working?
I'll say yes to an extent that it's getting mainstream, because you're seeing it now with consolidation in the industry. You're seeing price points drop on crafty brands and things, so you're seeing there's starting to be a blur. The lines are merging between premium domestic versus craft beer that's been bought by domestic. They're starting to bring those down to similar price points, so things are starting to kind of merge together and blur those lines. You see more people out and about. You look at Kroger, look at your beer selection at Kroger. For craft beer, it's gone from a third of the cold set to half or 2/3, depending on which store you're at. So,
And a significant warm set.
Yeah, definitely, and warm set as well. So you see the explosion in chain, you see the distribution increasing. I mean, you go to a Fridays. I was at Cheesecake Factory last night. I was surprised that Mastery was there. I mean, it's like half of you. I'm just saying.
Give me a cheesecake.
It's everywhere.
High Company cheesecake, is that what you said was coming out?
But you wouldn't have seen that 5 years ago.
No way we saw that 5 years ago. Not even remotely close.
Yeah, never.
There was Blue Moon, if you were lucky, and that way you're happy to get a fucking Blue Moon.
By the way, I went to Applebee's. I still craft beer at Applebee's. I left.
Let's get a Riblet Pale Ale.
I mean,
We have a little, you can't see him, but we have a little beer monkey helper. Just come back with his beer.
That was brutal. He did such a great job at Brink, too.
I know.
So I know sometimes we talk about the lift sales at the brewery at 2.0, and I think that's and it's indicative of other places too. I've talked to other folks about their culture, their light beer, alternative things. The brewery, it's like wow, it's like one of our best sellers. And particularly for most of the places that don't also offer any kind of other drink other than their own stuff. And so I think that's an indicator on a small piece, because those folks, what they're doing there is, well, they're drinking the light alternative, and they're cool with that. But when they get home, are they likely drinking that? No, they're probably drinking their industrial beer or liquor or wine or something else. Here for sure, but flavored each time. But so I think that seeing that those are a large portion of sales in the breweries is indicative of some level of the mainstream flavor. That it's not necessarily these big things. The flavors, the adjunct flavors, that is big indicative of mainstream. That's
Stop it.
The most atomic drop of mainstream right there. Is that we have adjunct.
We have Mountain Dew. We have alcoholic Mountain Dew. How fantastic is that?
Well, that is
You
true.
gotta bring the tablets.
That is true.
Tablets.
Really, just ask me what it is. What do you want?
I want a quick follow-up on that.
Wait,
I
you don't have a tap on
you
your phone, the whole
can
thing's on
do this after I ask
I'm not
a
looking at my
real quick
phone.
question.
What does that mean?
With the kind of generification of craft beer, more people like buying it and everything. How do you all feel when either somebody a la the Constellation Group, a non-macro entity buys up a small brewery, or ABI, whatever you want to call them, buys up a small brewery? Everybody in the Cincinnati beer scene gets so heated, or really the craft beer scene gets heated about it. Do you guys think it matters? How do you all respond to that?
I think some of them are hilarious. Wicked Weed, like, I was a big fan of Wicked Weed, and I thought it was so funny when they got sold out, because people in Cincinnati were like, oh, boycott Wicked Weed, I'll never buy their beer. It's like, dude, you live in Cincinnati, you can't buy their beer now. Don't act outraged. Don't boycott something you can't buy anyways.
Yeah, I got 2 bottles of Dark Horse back there, fresh, and they taste delicious.
The tequila one?
Yeah,
Can I
drank the tequila
cancel my
one.
order? I want that.
I drank that one already.
Oh.
It doesn't really matter to me. Yes, I mean, obviously, I like the fact that I can support my local breweries and go see, people that are actually making the beer. But it doesn't mean that founders or other
9,
breweries like that are making a great product.
8. I can't.
So,
This is 8. Matt. This is 8. What you doing?
we're beers
Yeah.
now.
Sorry, peer break.
I don't think. Yeah, I'm going to agree with what he says on that one. It's like you can kind of support. You can drink whatever you want to drink. That's the bottom line. You have choices to make about that. I don't think probably half of us know, or half of the money that comes from half of any of the breweries of anywhere goes to on some level. So, we can only make so many judgments about that. The ones that are obvious. So, okay, we know about those. You can make your choice about it. In the end, I buy product that's, well made. It's good. Some of those brands may not get bought because the salespeople aren't here pushing them, so I don't go chasing them necessarily. But hey, if there's something nice from Goose Island, sure. I've had their sours, delicious. I mean, what do you do? There's some other beers that is really nice. If somebody came down with what's the damn stout they make, the Bourbon County Grain Stout. Okay, people still lose their shit over that a little bit. Now I know it's declined and done its differences over the years. Okay, but people still get hyped about that.
Still a good beer.
Yeah, sure.
I'll just say I get frustrated when if you go to a venue, let's say it's at a stadium, and you're getting other good beer that might be local is getting shut out because they cannot pay for the taps, which I know they're not paying for the taps, but bullshit is happening.
If you have
So if you see Bud Light, Goose Island, and that's all that they have to offer there,
Devil's Backbone.
Got a Devil's Backbone, like
now,
I mean, you
Somebody had a petition about that one year. And it actually made a difference.
so.
I mean,
That's my issue.
We would like Devil's Backbone. That cat comes in here, like they got a local dude. He came in here, he's like, I'm like, all right, man, for sure, let's do it up, and they have award-winning beers.
Yeah, still doing good beer.
Award-winning beers. So,
I mean, like, I'll say for my part, large.
Yeah.
sure.
I'll say for my part, like, I drink the best beer. Well, yes, I drink the best beer that I can, and I would prefer it to be local. I prefer it to be by someone that I know and like. Not just a local brewery, but a local brewery that I like them, even if maybe it's not as good as some other local brewery, right? And then I would default to somebody regional. Like, I mainly drink Yellow Springs, Jackie O's, Mad Tree, Great Lakes. That's all that's in my fridge right now, along with some stuff when I went to Boston. And that's usually what's in my fridge. Mystic Mama and Captain Stardust are always in my fridge.
Always good.
I mean, I got nothing wrong with it. I love some Stone and some Founders and some Bells.
Should I just bought breakfast out last
I mean,
night?
two-hearted.
You can't go wrong with that. But those guys who have been dedicated to the industry, they're not selling out. They preach quality. They live and breathe and make quality beer, and they should be supported.
Speaking of shelf turds, I went to a place last night, Backwoods Bastards, just sitting there. And I thought, man, I used to call, Backwoods Bastard in. It's a wonderful beer.
Fantastic
And
beer.
it's a fantastic beer, just sitting there.
Yeah, I was at some bar today that had your old Clown Shoes Play Upon Unidragon on tap. Oh, wait, that's...
I saved that bag specifically. Like a year and a half ago. I saved that bag specifically. Yes.
But it was delicious. And
It was delicious. Yes.
All right, I have a follow-up to that, and I want to start with Chris first. So we've talked a little bit about guys selling out. How would you all feel if someone local sold out? How do you think the industry would react to that, and how would you feel? Because not going to touch that one just yet, but the question I always pose to people is like, again, this is a business. Like people, like we want to talk about like the art and the craft and everything, but at the end of the day, there are employees to be paid. You know, there's children who you want to send your kids to college and everything. And is it selling out, or is it finally getting paid for all this painstaking work that you've done? So how would you guys respond?
I mean, I would say that it's a dynamic issue, right? Like, if Mike and Kathleen at Mount Carmel sell out, I'm not going to say anything negative to them. Look, they've been in this industry they've been doing this for 13 years now. They're not...
Mike's an OG. Kathleen's an OG.
He is literally...
We're selling growlers at Kroger.
Out of the back of her station wagon. And then there's, I'm sure they got retirement plans at some point, right? They want to get out of this game, and I couldn't fault them for selling to get out of the game, right? If somebody like Nine Giant abruptly sold out to Anheuser-Busch on me, I'd be like, man, I don't know about that. A lot of people wouldn't surprise me if some local people sold out. It would shock me if others did. And it really depends on who they sold out to. Is my biggest thing lately. Like Clown Shoes got bought by Harpoon this week or last week.
Yep.
Victory, I've loved Victory for 14 or 15 years now. They merged with Southern Tier, right?
Monkey.
Those things are fantastic. You know, the Oscar Blue, the Fireman Cap, Oscar Blues and Cigar City. I think that's great. That's a great way to do things. But when you sell it to Anheuser-Busch, it's kind of like, come on, man. Like Tony McGee, oh, sales are horrible. Hey, Heineken, thanks for that money. That's where I have a problem.
Yeah, locally, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I think it'd be a dream realized for some of those people. It wouldn't be an easy decision for them, but you're looking at your future, your kids' future, or their kids' future.
Sure.
I wouldn't have an issue if Mantry one day or Ryan Geist, whoever, had a great opportunity to take care of themselves and their employees. I wouldn't be hurt by it.
Let me ask this question. If it's a brewery, maybe that's a little bit newer, you can tell, started out from the beginning as just building a business to sell, does that change your opinion? Or versus somebody who is kind of grinding away over the years, they probably said, I've had enough, I've had an opportunity, and I'm going to take it.
Well, if they're just building to sell, I'm probably not a big fan to begin with, So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that it would change. I think at the end of the day, I'm not the one paying the bills and took the risk. So be it. If they want to make that choice, that's for them. Now, obviously, they're going to lose customers and people are going to be upset. But they make great product. Like we've all said before, other beers we like, we're still going to drink them. So I don't think it would change my. It would change my opinion.
It would change mine. Yeah, even I'll do the elephant in the room. Even Ryan Geist. Everybody talks about Ryan Geist selling out, and you know what? I know folks at Ryan Geist very well, and I don't think Ryan Geist is necessarily invested in the beer as much as they are the community. I think it's an equal trade-off. I don't foresee Ryan Geist doing that anytime soon. And if they do, it doesn't mean that Ryan Geist does not care about over the Rhine. They don't care about the economic development, revitalization of that community, which to me is just as important as the fact that they're brewing beer there. I don't necessarily believe that that's going to change, but if something like that sold off to somebody, I'm not going to change my opinion. I'm still going to pick up a sixer, here and there, a Cougar or Truth. And
they've got Ganja Geist coming up anyway.
Yeah, it's and maybe that's different. Maybe that's different because, and that may be a different opinion because a lot of us know the individuals that operate these breweries on a personal level, and we have that vested interest as a we care. Mantry sells out to somebody. It doesn't change my opinion. You know why? Because I care about the ownership of that place because I like them. They're good people.
I mean, what I would say, like, using Ryan Geist as an example, if Ryan Geist sold out and Jim Mack got fired the next day, I'd be like, oh, that's concerning.
That'd be pissed.
Like if Mantry sold out and then Matt Rowe and Ryan Blevins, they're gone, it's like, yeah, that's not really a great sign. Yeah. If they sold out and then nothing changed in staffing or recipes or anything, like, well, that's fantastic. I'm glad those guys were able to cash out and get more capital in there.
Yeah.
But the concern is always when it's a salad and then everything changes.
So it's personal for us.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, We're going to pause again for station implication. If you're just joining us again, we are Brew Minds, and we're here with the OG beer bloggers, Mike Stewart, formerly of Brew Prof, Danny Spears, formerly of BeerMumbo, Chris Stevens, still of the Queen City Fresh, and we're hosted by Frank Seda here at the Lucky Turtle. But we have two unrelated questions. First off, Jason Arthur wants to know.
Hell no.
Jason Arthur's on vacation. He's like,
I know, but
his family's out. He's like, oh, I'm
His
gonna
kid's like drowning in
honey, what are you doing? Nothing.
He wants to know, will we ever see creepy mustache BeerMumbo again? But after that, we've got one more. Creepy mustache BeerMumbo. Is he coming back?
You prepared the Britney Spears slide.
Halloween only.
Ask my wife.
Oh,
I am not doing that.
all right. Sarah Gass. Sarah Gass has a question for Danny and Mike. Do you foresee Watch This Hold My Beer being brewed again?
Absolutely.
Watch This Hold My Beer again.
I really do. I mean, first of all, whoever in Matry doesn't like that beer, they've obviously crashed their palate.
Yes.
I mean, that beer's sold everywhere.
Those are the people who
It's
fail
so
their
good.
testing
It's
program.
still on.
How many matches
Yeah, it's still on every.
It's so good. La Rosa's and Coleraine still has it on tap.
Jason Arthur.
You can get it at the Shell on the West End. Still. There's, you can get a, it's not a growler, it's a carboy. You can get it for $5.99
They'll sell you the whole keg for $10.
Bring your
Get
gas
out of
tickets.
here.
and a free keychain.
Right. All right, so we've got one more thing coming up here, and the question is, what is hurting or helping the craft beer industry? And what is hurting or helping the craft beer industry?
Politics is hurting.
I don't know. I mean, the craft beer tax reform bill I thought was getting more traction.
No, I mean the political side of the breweries.
I don't know. It makes me drink more.
That's true.
That's breweries. I think the politics
No,
in
no,
general.
all of it. I think we're losing the intimacy that we had 4 years ago. You know,
I mean, when I could walk into
and I don't
Matry
sound
and
intimate,
decide to
not intimacy like sexual or anything like that, but intimacy like. That's what it was. It was an intimate. You know.
I mean, it really
I don't know how to
was.
explain it.
Well, you can still have that. It's just that I think that what's happening is that those places are just a lot of them, only in those small little places. You know, it's not the same as that. It's not the same, but it's what's the new thing that is the same as that. You know, honestly, that's why people come here is because I'm not out on the street side. People aren't seeing me. They don't know unless you know. You kind of come back here. You know, and that's why people like it. They like it because they can sit back here and chill out.
Sure.
But,
That's why this place. That's why Lucky Turtle's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what you were saying, what kind of reminds me of, like, I remember going to walk into Matry 1.0. You could walk right into Matry 1.0. You could sit right down at the bar, and Kenny or Brady would serve you a beer within like 2 minutes. You didn't have to fight through a crowd. You didn't have to stand in line. You could walk right and sit right down and get a beer.
Did you ever go there on a Saturday night?
I'm talking like 5 years ago.
Well, you had to like step over the giant Belgian Maltese dog.
Watch out for dog kicking. That was.
But now I go to 2.0, I'm like, I don't even know any of these bartenders. Like, oh wait, there's Connor. All right, cool. I know one person here now. And there's like 100 dude bros and 8 Maltese and 25 children, which I'm fine with the dogs and kids. Don't let's not go that. But I'm just saying, like, that intimacy is gone.
No,
You just need to go on a different night.
here's the intimacy that I miss. And I'm going to throw the name out because he's my dude, Steve Shaw. You go up to Valley Vineyards at the Cellar Dweller, you visit Steve Shaw. You didn't sit upstairs and drink. You know what you did? You got invited downstairs. You hung out with Steve in his brewery where he crafted the beers that he did. And it was like that intimate feeling. And you really respected that. You know, Scott would do it at Blank Slate, man. You showed the Blank Slate, Scott would bring you in the back and, you know, pull nails on some of the barrels, and you really felt that passion. They were passionately wanting to share what they created with you. And it's hard now because you know a lot of breweries that grow and they meet more people. And there's more people that say, oh, I'm friends with the brewers. I'm going to come to the back. Well, I'm a brewer. So you lose that intimacy because there's more of us who have a vested interest in their success, which isn't a bad thing.
Well, I mean, like GCCBS, didn't exist 5 years ago. And when it started, I feel like there was a few hundred people, and now there's what, 600,000.
And I think when I joined, it was like,
and then you've got the
like
whole chug club.
person 16 or something.
Right.
I mean, we invited all the GCCBS to a bottle share, to 2 different bottle shares.
I think we're also lucky that we had social media. You know, in this day and age with craft beer, you can have the first wave.
Yeah.
I mean, the ability to be able to market your product is very cheap.
Yeah.
And getting that following is certainly helped the industry grow as well.
Yeah. I think there's a greater awareness. It's still, I think, has room for refinement. A greater awareness of quality, and beer quality. I think people are finally starting to learn what good versus really bad beer is. I don't think anybody's. I think in general the market isn't quite there to really be able to kind of pick out well-made beer, but people are slowly learning how to develop it.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we need to keep pushing and forcing, and every brewery should be pushed to make better beer.
I would say that people know great beer, but people may not know bad beer. I mean, I will forever be scarred by the woman who said, I love the butter flavor in this beer when she was drinking an IPA. And it's like, well, it's great that you like that butter flavor, but that's bad. And you should not like that.
Well, I want to jump off on that real quick. Is when talking about quality or helping the industry, what do you guys think breweries need to do better when talking about the quality issue, or how can we educate the consumer? Because it's a well-known fact that the thing facing the beer sales right now, it's liquor and wine. That's one of the biggest things that's taking customer share away from the beer industry. But I do see a lot more people at the grocery store picking up craft. The data seems to show that, but how do we educate the consumer on what is good? What is good and how do you quantify it?
The way you educate the consumer on that is you go to Mad Tree's Sensory 100 class and you learn about the off flavors in beer. You get my free stuff now.
You just stole his thing that he was going to pitch at the end of the show.
He ruined his pitch.
Actually, so one of those, I challenge folks from breweries or brewers or sales guys or consumers, home brewers, do it all, even myself, and we've all been brewing a darn thing. And even not saying a beer is even necessarily good or bad. I mean, sometimes it's just there, but is it like to style or even to understand if a beer is even to style?
Does that
forget
exist
about
now?
good or bad? Well, okay, so yes, we have the bending of styles, but I'll come back to that in just 1 second.
So what style is my maple pancake order?
An adjunct porter, that's what that was. That's just a. But like a Belgian, so take a Belgian ale, take a Belgian triple. I will tell you, I will take most of the Belgian triples made in this city, and they will not stand.
Wait, there are Belgian triples made here?
Well, I'm sure some people
need to
make
know
some,
about
but even a Belgian pale or quad, that's been done by enough people.
Absolutely.
We'll take those and we'll put them against, a triple Carmelie. We'll put them against Marty Seal. I mean, there's just so many beers you can put them in that are known to be the beer. And when it is not that, for me, it's not that the beer is, bad, but it's not this. And so therefore, maybe you should just let that go, and stick with something that, is that, and then go to some other things. But so that's how, if you want to talk about if beers are to style or not, if they're good or not, I don't know. Sometimes I just gotta tell people, like, there'll be something on, and I'm like, yeah, no, this isn't it. And they're drinking, they're like, I don't know, this doesn't taste that bad. I'm like, well, I'm gonna tell you it's that bad, and I'm gonna pull that keg right now.
Yeah.
And I have literally.
I just want to see beer that's
Done
made
that.
without off flavors. Like there's
But it's
so
gonna
many.
happen. Isn't that just? I mean,
And it happens.
I know in the utopia, I guess I would think it wouldn't, but I mean, it's just going to happen sometimes. And
Well, I mean,
it's up for people like us at some point to call
It
out.
happens a lot.
If it happens, don't sell it. Pull your keg, stop the back.
But I think the arrogance of a lot of breweries now, they don't want to accept the fact that they're just not making the good beer.
They should come here and talk to me.
And
We'll talk about some arrogance.
I'm not going to call out names, but that exists locally. There are breweries that locally have struggled to make good beer, but you know what? They've listened and they've cared to change. And like I said, I'm not going to name names. They've cared to change and they want to change and make better beer. But then there's some others that just don't care. They don't want to listen to what your advice. They don't want to change what they're doing, and they're just putting out a core lineup in their small tap room of shitty beer. And nobody's going, and that's why.
So Bob's in there, and Fibonacci, we branded that. We all talked about our thing. It was out there, and he responded to things. And man, those beers are 110% better than what they were before.
Oh, dude.
So are they still something this?
You getting some love in here, dog?
You know, I'm not. You can judge that for yourself on that level, but he went 110% from the issues he was having to not having them, and actually then putting out some really like nice stuff. He's done a couple little tart beers, and solid. You know, he's done some variations on his stout, solid. You know, his Kolsch doesn't have. It tastes like a Kolsch now. You know, his Belgian beer tastes more Belgian and not something than it was before.
He cared.
Yes,
he cared about the product.
He listened to the people, but the point is that people spoke up. Some offensively, so fair enough, you can always watch your mouth a little bit, but just saying, you know, people spoke up, and he actually listened to them and did his thing. You know, some of us need to watch our mouth. Yes, that was directed at us too, you know that one, but it takes constructive criticism, and then sometimes a bashing when some people just don't listen, like people you're talking about.
I think Chris has a follow-up there.
For me, I think you're missing a point a little bit. We focus too much as kind of the beer geeks and being in the industry is like quality education. I really think that 90% of the people just want to have a good time, good experience, and have a good beer.
Yes.
Not necessarily an excellent beer. And they don't know the differences anyway. But they want to know a good story. They want to be able to support the right people. They want to have a good time. They want to be treated well. I think that plays such a bigger factor than this, you know, high quality bar that the brewers want to hit.
I think you'd have both though. If people are truly educated, they care about beer, they truly are beer drinkers.
Yeah, that is probably a very small portion of your overall demographic that comes in there on a regular basis.
Right, but I don't know that we couldn't get that.
Well, we have four drinkers: your hobbyists, your enthusiasts, your industry people, and then your casual drinker. Okay, so the casual drinker eclipsed these three by like, you know, forever. That's the mainstream part. Okay, but to the point of what you're saying, I do agree that's because half the people they drink all these damn beers. That list is fancy enough for the thing. What they don't know. I mean, not in the general context of things. They don't know if the maple flavor is more not this or that in that beer.
They like it,
And they don't know some of the off flavors. But if I taste something, for what I do, because of all those other things, that if there's a beer that doesn't taste good, whether they may be sitting there like, this is delicious. And I'm like, I know, I hear you, but I'm gonna have to tell you that it is not delicious. And that, no. And so I'm gonna have to just, you know, I pull the beer, not from them, but from the tap list, like I said, you know, and that's my choice, recognizing it, not because they did, but here's the thing, those people they don't dictate what I do in my business from that level, from that standpoint. So I make the choices to pull those beers, even if they don't know zero, because some of them don't. It is fair enough, you know.
Well, to transition us away from that topic, we have a question. You guys brought it up earlier.
Jason off here.
Rich Suris has a question.
Who?
Yeah,
No cream
Rich
man.
Suris.
You know what?
No cream man.
Just go ahead and block that guy.
Yeah.
He had some earlier fun questions for you, but
Just let me hear his question.
the one is, do you have a style you wish breweries would stop making for a while to reset the style from overall marketing?
IPAs.
Belgians, just stop altogether.
Yeah. Someone, you know what? I'll just say it. Just make some good, clean, quality, basic style beer. That's all I want. Wooden cask. Good job, Randy.
Yes.
You know what? Making good ass beer, true to style, and pushing out styles that most people don't know what they are because they're not used to them. They're freaking awesome.
Man,
I'll do that. I'm good. I'm happy.
ESP on like, I don't know, 2 months ago or something, and everybody was like, man, this is delicious. Like, what this is an ESP. Like,
ESP?
I had to sell it out there like, is that a new form of alien? No, it's a beer that's out there.
And I'll say the same for Bigly. I mean, Golden Mild, ESB, you know, they've got a bunch of classic, simple styles that are easy
But
to
are they hazy?
They do have killer hazy.
Only if they're American
IPAs.
ESPs.
But how many breweries are polishing a turd by throwing adjuncts in it?
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, well, this didn't turn out. We'll just call this one up.
We know from homebrewing that works. I mean,
Well, this English porter does not quite taste the way I want it. Well, now it's a tiramisu porter.
Yeah.
Like, so how often does that happen? Probably all the
This
time.
porter didn't work out.
We don't
Now
know.
it's a sour porter.
now it's
Yeah.
a pastry. That diacetyl makes it a pastry. Just add butter.
The buttered popcorn porter.
I'm gonna puke in my mouth.
All right, we've got one last big question to end the night, and it is, What is your favorite local beer and or brewery?
Go ahead, Mike.
Go ahead, Mike.
Don't know this one.
Next.
We said just local.
Well, and why? Tell us why.
Listen, Mike,
Sell us.
Mike was a fanboy of Mad Tree.
That's true. That's true.
It's not just since they
not
make
you.
money.
This guy was wearing Lift pasties years ago.
Why do you know that?
Hey, we saw the Sailor Boy outfit.
I don't really, yeah, really.
If we're talking local, yeah, obviously yes. I'm a homer for my home brand, but like I said, I respect
Give
those
us
guys.
three breweries. Mad Tree and two others.
Does that have to be local?
Yeah, two local. Mad Tree, two other favorite locals.
But you actually
That's
drink any
fair.
beer besides
That's
Mad Tree.
I do. Actually, I do.
Well, I'm sure you can get it for free, so that's all I would try.
Yeah, we have
I don't
loyalty.
get it for free. That's illegal.
What's your
in
answer,
Ohio.
Mike?
Like, yeah, just
Just say it. Just say it.
I would say I really like a lot of stuff Urban Artifacts doing. Those guys are doing good work. Trying to think of where am I at? Other local. I don't know. Like,
Kevlar doesn't have any other local ones, so go somewhere else. That was Chris. I'm not taking credit for that one.
Alright, you get off the two. Can I still say Blank Slate? Does Blank Slate still count?
No, it doesn't count.
Alright.
You can say 50 West then, because
Well, I gotta give love for Nine Giant then, honestly.
Yeah.
I end up at Pleasant Ridge about once a week now, and Nine Giant's killing it. I mean, I'm really loving what they do.
They're awesome guys.
They really are fantastic guys.
Fantastic.
And I'm not just saying that because
And they care.
on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah. And always something new and interesting and always good. I mean, maybe it's not the flavor combination that I like. I'm not big on key lime and the cucumber they put out on that.
Right.
But what they do, they do.
and they have some outstanding food.
Yes. Oh my god.
That's why they get the combo thing on that one for me.
Yeah. Good food. I got, I'm Listerman. I was a fan of Listerman before I even worked there, before I even rode, man. I was a Listerman when they had a tiny little bar top in a corner serving taps before anybody else. And Listerman's not afraid to put something out that may not be popular. They'll take chances. Jared's a fantastic brewer, a super intelligent guy, good person. Good company, man. It's a small business that, if things change at Listerman, it's because they had to dig in their pockets to make it happen. And I love that, I respect that. There's no crazy capital loans going out to working capital and everything's happening. It's passion. And
Here they want Fobab?
and they want so bad, but it's a passion. And I love that, right?
It is. That's big sad. It is. I had to go there.
Hey, I don't feel bad. But my other two, I'll do two more. Urban Artifact just left there before I came here. Insane. You know what? They push an envelope that nobody's comfortable with. I don't care who you are. I don't care how many beers you've had. They push a style envelope of beers that is just crazy. And it's done perfect every time. Okay? Brink. It's another one. Kelly is the most. He doesn't. He doesn't want to admit that he's badass, but he does good beer. He knows what he's doing. He knows exactly what's going to happen when he brews that beer. And Andrew, they care. They care about the community. And you go in, you just have good beer.
And they've got some simpler styles.
Similar styles, and they're doing stuff that I can go in, and like I said earlier, like Wooden Cast, Randy, they're doing beer that I can go in, I can say, give me that ESB, give me this. And it's just good. It's not crazy. It's not insane, but like caramels and chocolates, it's just done good.
Well,
What about you, Frank?
Well.
This is why he doesn't write it.
That's why he doesn't write anymore. So,
The end.
yeah, unfortunately, there's so many places have opened up to that I haven't even been to, but
that's my problem.
for sure.
If it wasn't for Rick, I would have been happy.
If I had to, for some of have been mentioned. We've all said urban, and I have to give some props out to there too. Mainly for two reasons. They went with doing doing something for sure different with just sticking with the Vinvers fruit tart ale. I love that. I really love that. Let me go to that because we mentioned that several times now real quick. I keep mentioning that because the whole style game is just getting ridiculous. Berliners and Gozes and just what have been piled onto those now. I'm like, they're just tart ales. It's so much easier for me to tell somebody it's a tart ale. Gose, I don't know what's a Berliner. Okay, look, it's a tart ale. Let's roll with it. Yes, so anyway, so Urban, also want to stick with some Central Corridor people right here. I gotta say, for sure, Brink, Andrew, love that guy, just good fun stuff. And I gotta give a shout out to my man Garrett, Streetside, Lou.
Streetside, yeah,
so,
sorry.
Man,
sorry, Kathy.
Don't know. There's a lot of great people to pick. Honestly, I could give you some
beat me up, Luke.
Lots of runners up. I love that. 50 West, a lot of guys, but just for some of the, those are some of the a couple of the younger guys that have just gotten kicked up in the for the thing and doing something smaller. Yeah, Garrett, those guys, man, they're Berliners that they've done. Some of the fruit stuff he just had was great. They just did the
They care.
You want a pastry beer? That thing is like cake, liquefied in your face.
They care about what they're doing.
They do. Very passionate. Luke is super passionate. You can talk to that guy, and then he's super passionate about what he does.
Luke can dry hop an IPA without a ladder.
Yes, right. Yes. And he will tell you all about it in some very great details and technical aspects. You know.
These are like Luke Shropshire Chuck Norris jokes.
But anyway, there's a lot.
Close out here, Chris.
I take a few minutes. My favorite beers probably are ones that I find most sessionable. So PSA for sure, Mantry PSA, and I'm a fan of Rock Irish Truth. Those are my two. 5 Mils Law.
Still good.
As far as breweries, for me, Braxton is one of my favorites. I think they're well-rounded from running a business, from marketing, quality beers. They have a great story with that family business. They're always down there working together as a family. And it's just. And the connection I have with them, not only a personal connection, but they do a weekly post every Friday, from every one of their main points of
They do.
And I feel like, talking about losing that connection, I love Brady and Kenny, but I don't get that connection, not even, through an email.
Because we don't want to talk in the public anymore.
Right, you're right.
But I do feel like that really brings that connection. Like you feel like they're really talking to you every week and tell you what's going on in their lives and the business there. I think they do a great job all around the board. It's why Braxton's one of my favorites.
Yep.
The other two would be, obviously Mantry would be one of them. They kind of helped me do a couple events there. It was really fun. Did Fresh Fest 2 years. Really were open to letting us have fun and play around with some beers. We had a great time with that. And when I think of Mantry, I think of integrity and quality. Kenny and Brady really, I'm not including Mike in that. But, Kenny and Brady.
He's just HR.
For sure. And they obviously make some great beers that everyone loves in the city. And I think when they done the 2.0, even though I'm always partial to the first place I've been to, so I missed 1.0, but 2.0 is I've only been there a few times, but it is just an amazing facility and anchors that whole area over there, and it's a place for the community. It's amazing what they've done, and I'm so proud of both of those guys and making the success they had. And then lastly, 50 West for me. A lot of that's personal connections, and I love the pub thing.
Yes.
It was so great. I'm not a big fan of the new one. I really like going to the pub, and it's a great food. It's small and intimate. They did a lot of great events. The Brewers event, the Brewer brunches they used to do regularly. Punch out.
Wait, Punch Out 2018. What was the homebrew thing we all did?
Oh yeah. Oh,
that was a fun thing.
Yeah. So
They
it
never
was
brewed
a
my
lot
beer.
of fun events.
I like the Brew volunteers.
And you can't beat I think the best event, at least the most fun event is the Punch Out event. So those are my top 3 breweries, and I think there's a lot of other honorable mentions. Definitely Nine John would be up there for me.
I like that too. Yeah.
About you, Jesse?
I'd love to play favorites and everything, but this is where I have to equivocate. As you all know, with my day job, I cannot share my opinions on anything.
Cop out.
They didn't matter anyway.
Got to make money. You got to pay my salary somehow. But what we can close out with, since everybody's here with representing different stuff, you can just kind of maybe give us a brief coming up, what projects we should look forward to coming from you guys, and then we'll all say goodbye.
Yeah, we're going to get started. So we got our collaboration with Heavy Seas out of Baltimore, the Weed Heavy. Yes, the partnership. So really cool thing about that is that we actually got deeper roots here in Oakley, and then Chesapeake Bay Roasting Company out in Baltimore together, and like those guys geeked out on coffee, and they figured out specifically what beans they wanted, how they were going to roast them, and how that was going to be used in this beer. It was pretty cool to take a collaboration. To, like,
is that for the coffee culture?
No. And then I'll just say that we do have a new can coming up relatively soon. I'm not going to give you more details about it at the moment.
You can go to our website, check it out on our website.
But we got some fun stuff.
Is it a 16 ounce or 12 ounce?
More identity crisis?
Identity crisis is coming back.
Yes! What's an identity crisis?
Yes. Identity crisis. Yep.
New can, what would it be?
Alright, Danny, what do you got? I want to finish out. I'll hear.
Go ahead, Frank.
We're doing, well, I got all kinds, like we're doing some different specific brewery type, release type things. I haven't really done tap takeovers, I don't like to do this too much, but got Randall coming in this Thursday with Dogfish. We got some odd fruits and whatnot that I like to do my thing. Got my anniversary at the end of the year.
Jack Yo's, right?
Yeah,
We're very excited about that.
It'll be my second anniversary, and we're doing a bunch of Jack Yo's beers. My guy Luke Geffler just got on with Jack Yo's from Cavalier, anyways. So
Good job, Luke.
So doing a bunch of beers from them. I'm gonna have some others, a couple of Little Fish in there, do a little Athens stuff. We got a lot of maybe he might. Yeah, I'm gonna contact him, but we have a lot of Athens guys that come through here. And at the beginning of the year, I'm just doing a lot more getting the mixing of the beer and the liquor. One quick one I'll drop. I got some bells. I have a 2015 Expedition Stout keg back there. We're gonna do some double cream stout on draft, and then we'll have some black note pours and a little bourbon on the side. You can mix your own black note.
New boiler.
That's it.
Let's do it.
Alright.
Not a whole lot going on right now at Queen City Fresh. I get in little kicks here now and then. I get on the labels again. I just love looking at the artwork and seeing what's coming down the road. I always wanted to try different beers. I never really settled in to drink one beer all the time, so that still excites me. So I occasionally I'll jump on the TTB site, pull down some labels, but that's all that's really going on my site right now. See if I want to continue doing that. I would also say probably give a shout out to Operatives. They're taking a break. They're really the OGs.
Right, Carla and
We
Tom.
call this the OG thing, but we all owe it to them, honestly.
And Carla's
Yes.
awesome program at
So I was going to say, Carla did a great job with what she's doing down in Cincinnati State with the Brew program.
Yes.
To do what they did on a regular basis is over that many years is pretty amazing.
Yes.
You know, we're not making any money at this, most of us, and so to do that on every week was pretty amazing. To watch someone who's trying to do it every week and couldn't do it for a year every week. So shout out to the Operatives for that, and glad they're getting a nice rest right now from it. I think they took a little hiatus, so maybe we'll see them back, maybe we won't, but I'm going to give a quick shout out to them. So.
Yeah, so I'm done. BeerMumbo's done.
Go Indonesia.
Yeah, go Indonesia. So I lost my site. Don't feel like rebuilding it. I've lots of other things. I have a day job too that I stay busy with, and
Doing a brew project.
yeah. So at Listerman, I've got a I did a blueberry pancake cider that that went like 4 days. It was insane. I've got a blackberry version of that'll be kegged probably next week. Yeah, it's cool. Good stuff. And I got rid of the BeerMumbo. I'm not relaunching it because I'm starting a herbal supplement company.
Mustache growing.
Okay. So next up for Brew Minds is November 28th. November 28th, Brew Minds will be down at Braxton talking Dark Charge. Because the Dark Charge release will be December 2nd, I believe. So we're going to be down there hanging out with the guys from Braxton, talking all about Dark Charge, talking about big bottle releases, and hoping to get to try some of those variants before everybody else does, because I don't understand the line on Saturday morning. All right.
I think you might need a guest host for that program down in Braxton.
It's like, I'll show up for that one. Thank you guys all for coming out. I appreciate it. I know you got like 55 kids and a bar to run and other life to live.
My kids are in there.
So thank you guys for coming out. Thank everybody for watching. It's been great.
Cheers.
And come out to Lucky Turtle, have some beers.
Yeah, seriously, honestly, it's one of
He's
the
in
best
F-Town,
bars in the city.
Finneytown.
great beer, great bourbon, great
Frank's a
freaking
good
bourbon
dude.
barrel aged tequila.
You haven't been here, you're an asshole.
Oh yeah, we got lots of liquor.
It might smell funny outside if you're into that kind of thing.